Hello, I'm iamYannC, and you are listening to episode 12 of the R Weekly Highlights podcast for issue 2020-44, released on November 2nd, 2020. This week's issue is curated by Tony Elhabar with help from the R Weekly team members and contributors. Throughout the growth and evolution of the R language, there is one very important component that's accessible no matter what operating system or graphical interface R finds itself within. That would be the reliable R console. This is a place, of course, where all of your R commands are sent and you see real-time output right after the command is submitted. While options exist to tweak certain aspects of the console output, such as line width, the default experience is quite utilitarian. However, we have seen efforts to begin giving the console output a little more style. For example, the Crayon package introduced in 2014 for colorized style of assorted output types, and then the Pillar package in 2017 for driving the output of a fundamental Tibbles in the tidyverse. We have a new entry in customizing the output of data frames and matrices thanks to the Emphatic package by the seemingly never tired package author Mike FC, aka Cool But Useless on Twitter. Emphatic enables highly customizable coloring of rows and columns within data frames and matrices using iamYannC coloring right in your R console. If you have not heard of iamYannC coding before, think of them as specific codes that tell the current terminal what colors or styles to use for certain characters. As an R user, you don't need to be an expert in these sequences, as Emphatic takes care of all those details for you. One can think of Emphatic as bringing HTML or CSS-like styling to rectangular data structures, much akin to the customizations possible in HTML widgets like DT, Formattable, and recently React-R directly in your R console instead of a web interface. Now, you don't need to settle for default coloring when you are using R with only a console available. At the time you are listening to this, the United States is about to hold its 2020 general election for the presidency, Congress, and more. In this era of data-driven decisions with data science, there is an abundance of publicly available political data ready to be analyzed and combined with other rich data sources. For a step-by-step guide on assembling political and election data from open sources and creating insightful spatial visualizations and much more, look no further than our second highlight for today. Dr. J. Tim, data scientist and linguist, has authored an R Markdown document called American Political Data in R, hosted on GitHub, encompassing an entire workflow for importing political ideology scores and collations of U.S. election data through his own U.S. polls package to depict the longitudinal course of voting margins in elections since 1972. In addition, Jay augments the analysis with regional summaries, economics data, and demographics of Congress members. No matter what the outcome of the upcoming election, we will see many more analyses across the spectrum, and Jay's excellent walkthrough serves as an excellent starting point for what is shaping up to be a highly scrutinized election cycle. For more analyses involving R and open political data, check out Jay's blog, linked in the supplements section of this episode's show notes. Since data science began to be fully recognized as a career path, one of the core competencies desired for most data scientist candidates is the ability to author programs via code to accomplish the analysis task at hand. Learning the fundamentals of coding in languages like R and Python is not a revolutionary concept, and many university curriculums for data science programs involve at least one course addressing these languages. But are we seeing enough being taught about the practicalities of performing data science? In a provocative post authored by last week's R Weekly curator and talented data scientist Miles McBain, he asserts on his blog that there is a fundamental gap in data science education that is not seeing a lot of attention. Miles calls out the importance of building analytical project pipelines with tools such as the highly regarded Drake package authored by Will Landau to encapsulate the end-to-end workflow. And with the emergence of additional pipeline tools, including the upcoming reboot of Drake called Targets, This is the perfect time for data science courses to incorporate modern tools that go far beyond just knowing how to program a machine learning model, especially as authors like Will create comprehensive tutorials and guides for effective use of their tools, ready-made for a lecturer to build upon. Those are your R Weekly highlights for today. These aforementioned highlights are only one small part of the excellent content making up this issue. When you visit rweekly.org, you'll find additional resources like leveling up with the tidyverse and hockey data, a video on creating prettier R graphs and documents with the show text and PrettyDoc packages, and much more. If you are a content creator about R, no matter written blogs, screencasts, or even podcasts, and you would like to have your new content shared automatically in the R Weekly Live feed, please visit the detailed instructions linked at the top of every issue, including this one. Have a great week, and we will be back with another batch of R Weekly highlights next week.